All right. And now, sir, I do have a couple questions for you. First and foremost, um, without giving your exact age, how long would you say you've been working in this kind of field?
So I would say that I've been in this field for about 40 years now.
14 years. Okay, interesting.
40,
Fantastic.
yes, sir.
And what kind of activities did you kind of like start out doing? Like, what was the what was that point where you said instead of working for a 9 to 5 or something like that, I'm gonna do me, and me is what I want to do.
Well, not for nothing. Back in the day, I used to be over there by Liberty City on the East Coast. So as a young boy, my mother was a single mom, and basically my dad went out to pick up some milk, never came back. So it was just basically me being the man of the house at a young age. So with my mother working over there on the East Coast expansional franchise, a burger shot, I had to make ends meet, alongside my mother, keep the lights on and things like that. So it took me going on to the streets and me meeting some what some would call nefarious characters in order to stay on top.
All right. And what kind of jobs did these nefarious characters make you do? Just like running pockets or slinging or what exactly?
So right off the bat, it wasn't about all that. It was about having a parental figure around, somebody to look up to in order to say, hey, this is the way that a caring parent should. Don't get me wrong, my mother busted her whole ass to try to support us, but she could only do so much as one person working 14-hour shifts. You know what I mean? So your boy had to go out there and try to seek that kind of adult counsel elsewhere. So when it first started with a bunch of conversations, they made sure I did my homework, made sure that I got the good grades and things of that nature. But then once I started pressing them about making that money, that's when they started me on low-end things like picking pockets, breaking and entering. And then it slowly graduated to slanging.
All right. And so you say you kind of seeked out this like male role model, and these are kind of just who was around, pretty much, just the neighborhood you were in.
Well, keeping it a buck, I was really just looking for an adult role model to begin with. As amazing as my mother was, she could only do so much. But yes, the lack of a father figure definitely left that gap open in my life, where then I decided, hey, you know what? If these gentlemen are out here looking out for me, then I should be looking out for them.
There, and just a general feel a lot of people have when it comes to like, just like the hood and like gangs and whatnot. Did you feel like they taught you like, not just like, like here's how you do these particular illicit acts, but also like, like they give you like life lessons that were, like actually something that you still stand by today, like a moral compass or anything like that?
Absolutely. Now, don't get it twisted and or confused. It didn't start as all of that. That stuff is just the particulars in order to stay up in a society that tries to oppress and keep a brother down. You see, they didn't want me to do all that. It was me who basically volunteered to do all that in order to help the only way that I knew possible, and that was to get involved in the street life the way in which I saw them doing. They didn't want me to do that, you see. The reason why they did all this is because they knew there was mothers out here that were struggling out in these streets and fathers that was locked up, incarcerated, doing jersey numbers and things of that nature. So they knew that there was going to be individuals like me that'd be running around these streets looking for guidance. So that's how it all starts. And I wouldn't call it an indoctrination kind of situation at all. It was literally more like a big brother, big sister, almost like in Liberty City. I've never seen them around here on the West Coast, but it's more like those, like those YMCAs and whatnot, where, you would basically have a big brother looking after you, except this brother, decided to slang.
Okay, fair enough. And now, obviously, you were starting some of these acts at a young age. Do you feel that if you didn't have this particular guidance, your life would be in a particularly different place?
I think if I was put in a different predicament, different situation, in a different location, I could definitely see myself as being somebody different than what I turned out to be. Yes, that is 100%. I would be lying if I said otherwise.
Okay, so you feel like your current lot in life, exactly as you do now, is attributed just to the literal location of where you grew up. Like it was kind of like a different kind of trap, but a trap to begin with.
Well, not for nothing. I'm a entrepreneur, as it were. So, they did teach me certain qualities and aspects in order to apply myself and push forward. I did, do 2 years of community college. I did serve in the military, so I did serve my country over there in the U.S. Army. So I did do, certain things, and that you would expect an upstanding caliber citizen to contribute and do. It's just that once you are attuned to a certain type of lifestyle because of what you were put in, it's your predicament in life. It's when you're not allowed to grow past a certain point that you just can't help but just get stuck in that vicious loop.
Gotcha. And so you grew up in the streets, not in a sense of like homelessness, but just that was the environment you were in. Your mom, kept a roof over your head, and did all she could very well. You just kind of had not necessarily a bad influence. I'm never going to say it's a bad influence, but you just had an influence to certain individuals. Ended up joining the military. When you were in the military, just having a kind of separation, did you kind of like reflect on your past and kind of look at that as something that maybe that wasn't, again, is that just a circumstance of my upbringing, or is that kind of what I wanted to do, or?
So the military was something to try to get out of the hustle of what I was stuck doing. At that point in time, I was still trying to figure myself out, and I still had stars in my eyes thinking that I would be able to get myself out of the hood. So by taking myself from that hood situation to get myself to the military, especially after your boy got his bachelor's, I was like, okay, maybe I can actually do something with this, John. But, liberal arts ain't exactly something that you could write home to mama about. You know what I mean? So I ended up doing my time over there in the military. But then when I got back, there was such horrible social support for military coming back in that I had no choice but to go back to the streets.
And not to, again, give out too much information about yourself, but what war did you fight in? Or any war, if there was one at the time.
Well, keeping it a buck, I'm just going to say that I am a 40-year-old man. I was not 40. It was 40 years ago that I started slanging and doing the thing. So let's see here. So I'm trying to do the quick math right here. So that was around the let me just say the 70s. So I'll let the folks at home figure out what war that was.
Gotcha. Understood why there wasn't as much of a, why there might not have been a nice social structure for returning veterans, especially during that time.
Yes, sir, absolutely. So, without trying to call out the government or any more than that, you know what I mean? If there's somebody intelligent enough to figure out what war your boys served in, then, more power to them. But if not, they got that Google Tube or Twitter feed that they could go and do an Ask Jeeves to and figure that out.
Gotcha. And so you come back from overseas.
Yes,
you're
sir.
not, you're expecting a hero's welcome. You don't quite get that. Mm-hmm. Is that
right.
the catalyst that led you back into like the life that you knew before? Is it just like it was familiarity, or was it something else?
Well, it was a little that and the losing of my first wife that really kind of set me on the downward spiral there. So when your boy couldn't really figure out what to do at that point, like I said, I did what I knew best, and that was just serving my people. So being that I couldn't serve my country, I served my block. And then at that point, I got into the pimping game.
Okay. And how long would you say you were in the pimping game for?
Shit, it feels like a million years at this point, but let's see here. So I did that when I was in my 20s. I did that for about another 20 years.
Okay. And this is all like within your neighborhood that you grew up in, or is this were you somewhere else?
Oh, I'm an international player from the Himalayas. So, basically I took that from the East Coast and I started bringing that joint over to the West Coast. But, back then, travel was a whole lot slower in a hoopty. You know what I mean? So, I traveled cross country, you know what I mean? I brought my excuse me, this is trying to be proper nowadays. It's 2023. I brought my employees with me, and we started making our way to the West Coast.
Okay. All right, and well, I mean, we are in We are in the state of San Andreas, so we are as far west as you can get. We are off the mainland of the United States.
Yes, sir.
What brought you here, of all places? The small state of San Andreas with, I mean, is it the idea that this is, the state of San Andreas has the highest capita of, criminal activity per capita in the world?
Well, by the time I got over here, you know what I mean, with the pivot game, you know what I mean, things were fly back in the day. You know, brothers would be out here in their finest furs with their longest belt and their highest platform shoes. It was on and popping. We used to look official like a rep with a whistle. You know what I'm saying? We really was keeping it $150 back in them days. So, it was just really popping. So, I love me some East Coast, but ain't nothing like some West Coast honeys up in this joint. So that got me real up and going. So, once the juices started percolating a little bit, like a crock pot, I had to keep myself stationary.
Okay. And how long were you, say, here at in San Andreas for, or just Los Santos in general? Have you just been? Has it been just the last? At least if I'm following this timeline correct, like the last 20 or so years? Did we leave and come back?
I left and came back. So, as time went on and there was some, the train systems started getting better, your boys started taking the public transit across country, down and back. Had me a couple wives, you know what I mean? I allegedly, had me some children, but that's never been proven, you know what I mean?
Gotcha. Give me just 1 second. Just gotta stretch my legs. You might have to do the same in just a moment. Yep. Sorry, those chairs only got so much for the budget. Those chairs are super uncomfortable, I understand, but only got so much for the budget.
Absolutely, yeah. The joints ain't working like they used to, you know what I mean? Unless I'm jumping the fence, and keeping it greased up, you know what I mean? It's kind of hard to sit.
No, I completely understand. Yeah, just fortunately, like I said, budget's a little tight, so not the most comfortable chairs, but we're working on it. But
yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm much better now. Yeah. So where was I? Oh, yeah, traveling around the country. Right. So I basically took the trains, and I started going from East Coast to West Coast. You know what I mean? From the window to the wall. You know what I'm trying to say?
I get you.
Like the sweat dropped down my balls, right?
And what were you doing at this time? Were you still pimping? Were you transporting for other people?
Procreating.
Just procreating.
Allegedly,
Allegedly,
I mean,
of course.
Procreating is I was bringing life to people's hearts and souls by making them happy and prosperous because, I allegedly have all those children. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Yeah. I still doubt it, but apparently that Ancestry.com and 23andMe say otherwise. But, I see that say weazel star and that don't say, Maury, so we good.
Yeah, no, this is not Maury. So that's an idea for a show later. Anyway.
Yeah, I get a cut of that. Remember that.
Of course you get a cut of that.
All right, cool. That's on camera. Oh, yeah. Little Korean boy, make sure you keep that down. He said that. Anyway, go ahead. I didn't mean. I'm already talking too much. Go ahead.
It's all right. So since returning, how long has this return to Los Santos been? Like now you've kind of resettled.
Well, keeping it a buck. I had calling this home. I would say would be in the past 3 months.
Okay. So we've been back in the city for about 3 months.
Yes,
how long, while you were on your little stint going across the country, how long would you say you were gone for?
All that time in between.
Okay. So we're talking a good 20, 30 years, it sounds like.
Yeah.
All right.
Living life cross country.
So other than the times themselves, what has changed to the city? What's changed in the area around? What is it all good? Is it some of it bad?
Crime has went up. Police presence has went up. Their productivity went down. They playing too much grab ass. I would say support for veterans is at an all-time low. Support for politicians is at an all-time high, but they pretend that it's at an all-time low. What else we got here? Serial killers run amok. uh, little boys running around these streets acting like their asses is the fucking Joker, you know what I mean, from Gotham City, and getting away with shit until, you know, they just decide to leave cities and whatnot. So, yeah.
If that's not an endorsement to move to San Andreas, I don't know what is.
Was that what that was supposed to be doing? Hell no. You can stay fuck away from San Andreas. Stay away from this joint at all motherfucking costs. This place is El Horrible, as my Mexican brothers say. Shout out to Taco Farm. I'm not sponsored.
Unfortunately, I'm not yet. I'm not either, but I could be. Viewers at home. You're here for three or so months. What activities have you gotten up to? Like when you kind of like move back and you're like, all right, I'm in age. I'm gonna slow down in life. I'm gonna retire.
Yeah.
What kind of brought you back into the life, and what activities have you been up to since?
So originally when I came to the city, I was like, listen, I need to get away from this shit. You know, I hadn't been doing that street shit for a long ass time. I started settling my old ass down, and I said, listen, I'm gonna go join the taxi service, right? So I go to do the taxi service. When I say ain't nobody doing taxi because everybody too busy grabbing damn vehicles, I was like, this is some bullshit. I ain't gonna do that. So I said, okay, you know what? Let me try to stay on top of the table here. So let me do some great city sanitation. You know, give back to the community by cleaning people's shit. What did I do? I'm minding my business. Went and do that. I got held up at least 5 times as soon as I entered this city. So then I was like, hell no, I ain't gonna do this no more for this mediocre ass money. So then I said, so what am I gonna do? So I thought half a second, maybe I should put on a badge. You know what I mean? Because of the fact that, you know, your boy served in the military. But I was like, ain't none of them around. It was hard as shit just to get a weapons license just to protect my damn self. And that's talking as a veteran. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, enough of this bullshit. So then your boys started doing what most city folk do, and I started digging inside the dumpsters. So there your boy was, elbow deep in them dumpsters, like a medic over there at the pillbox. Just elbow deep in that girl. Minding my own business over there at the apartments, and the way that it always happens, one of them fast, smooth-talking ass young men was like, hey, you know, I saw you digging up in there, John. I will give you 50 per if you give me everything in your pockets that you got from this garbage. And I was like, hell yeah, bet. Because at the time, I was renting out from that little Puerto Rican, you know what I'm saying, that's staying on the corner over there, whatever his name is, that sell the rental cars. You know what I mean? So I'm like, ain't nobody trying to drive these little beat-ass things anymore. I want to get me one of these fly-ass whips like all these little boys with the bandanas or, you know what I mean? Why am I over here, hard-ass working man, retired age, you know, veteran, driving around, you know, a $500 vehicle, then I got to, you know, drive back for a return when these little boys out here driving Ferraris. So I said, hell yeah. So I started selling to him. I didn't know what all that shit was for. You know what I mean? I'm an old school player. You know what I mean? I've seen back. You all right there, player?
Yeah, my chair's just acting.
Your chair sucked your ass. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, my chair's just acting up. Hey, keep going.
Okay, yeah. So like I was saying, so, you know, I didn't know what was going on with all that trash and what they were going to be using it for. You know, I'm an old school brother. I've seen Back to the Future, so I thought they had one of those Mr. Juices on the back of the DeLorean in order to try to get that shit to fly to 88 miles per hour. You know what I'm saying? Right. I didn't know why they were using the garbage. Apparently, they use it for nefarious activities. So I was like, oh, shit. Once I figured that out, I'm like, how the fuck y'all get on? And the rest is history.
Okay. And now, without giving out your organization's name, you have decided to start your own little organization. Is that correct? So,
like I said, it always starts before. You know what I mean? It started as a family. So there was just a bunch of young cats that gravitated towards me. You know, so I ended up, you know, taking them under my wing and showing them the ways of the city. You know, getting the trash and flipping it and reversing it like Missy Elliott, you know, on that S-Nerf Epinephrine yet. So once we started doing that, we were like, hey, you know, let's try to organize this joint some more. So I started doing all that, started trying to make some connects. I had my fingers and everything, you know what I mean? So I made my little phone calls to people that I knew, and then, you know, one thing leads to another, and then all of a sudden you're realizing how much money you can make off the items that you're selling to other people at wholesale. If you would just keep it and then do it yourself.
All right. And so you had this little family, and you all were just helping each other out as as all gangs kind of start.
Yeah.
So at least with my research and what I've looked into with gang life and how it was compared to now, I mean, all gang life was about was, controlling your own block, your own group of people, not in the sense of
Bullshit.
not controlling, but protecting.
That's a better word. See, people need to remember some shit. Let me put y'all motherfuckers on the game. You know what I mean? These little boys out here that running around in these bandanas, you know what I mean? The ones that wear the blues and the ones that wear the reds. I don't need to say names. Y'all as grown folk, you know who I'm talking about. These motherfuckers need to realize that not only did they start on the West Coast and in the East Coast, but these boys were breakdance crews that used to just throw down at clubs representing their blocks. It was never about toting a pistol or shooting. Yeah, we're pop locking. You weren't cocking and popping. You understand what I'm saying? That's some shit that these little boys fucking forgot, is their goddamn roots. And that's the motherfucking problem. There's not enough men in these streets telling these little boys where the fuck they came from, and they acting here thinking that they know. You know what I'm trying to say? You need to respect your roots. It was always about protecting your block, protecting your neighborhood. It wasn't the gangsters, as they call them, you know what I mean? It wasn't the gangbangers, the brothers in colors that was the ones in these streets, going and try to solicit them businesses for money. That was the mafiosa. Like, don't get it twisted. The hood was all about protecting yours, because at that point in time in life, the police wasn't protecting their streets and their neighborhoods, so they had to do it their motherfucking selves. That's what we had to do, 10 toes in the ground and a full chest of fucking air in our lungs.
All right. And now, obviously, it's changed, and it sounds like, in your opinion, now for the better.
I don't really think it's changed at all, to be honest with you. I just feel that if more people understand where they came from, they would understand why they do what they do. Now, yeah, you're going to have your bad apples. You're going to have your cats that wear the rags and run around the streets and act reckless. You always going to have that. It don't matter if they wearing colors, red, orange, green, blue, yellow, purple, tangerine, mandarin, Mandalorian. It don't matter what color they wearing. You know what I mean? They out in these streets and they acting ignorant just because they don't know. You're going to have those people, but if you really dig down, and I believe you're going to, son, when you dig down and you speak to these people, you're going to realize that at the end of the day, all these people want to do is protect their family. And then you got to protect your family by any means necessary. Sometimes that means you need to slang some, rock candy. Sometimes that means you got to sell that snow. Sometimes that means you got to have a pistol in your hands, because the things that aren't given to you that you try to earn right, you got to take by brute force.
Okay. And how do you feel about the police mentality about some of these organizations? Do you feel it's just completely wrong? Do you feel that some of the police are just taking the fact that it's a group of people, therefore they have to be a gang? And
Misunderstood. Misunderstood. They misunderstood. The po-po need to realize that ass has come from the NRA, which comes back, from, let's just say, some not-so-good things. So they need to recognize where the fuck they came from, too, and stop acting all high and fucking mighty. And they need to remember that they motherfucking public servants. Once they forgot the fact they public servants is when the fuck they thought the power was all in their hands, and then that power flip ended up happening. You know what I mean? There was too many Uncle Toms running around this motherfucker, and they sort of try to convince the lower end brother, hey, you know what? You're better than the other. Once they started doing that, that's when shit started turning sideways, son. It was once they started making that quote-unquote others, that's when shit started happening, and that's when the police started taking a turn. They used to be beat cops back in the day. Go up on the block, chilling, letting them marinate. Then pop a light. Then they do nothing. They would go out, talk to you. One of your kids out the block, they lost, or they ain't in school. Hey, what the fuck you doing? Get your little ass back in school if I smack the dog shit out of you. You know what I mean? Take them back to the school. You know, nowadays these boys just quick to hit you with a taser, throw you in cuffs, chase you around on that motorbike, you know, flying around in their little helo. You know what I mean? I feel like they think it's a dick extension. You know what I'm saying?
All right. And do you feel that a lot of the officers are just too quick to go to force when, when negotiations have not even existed, let alone dissolved?
Well, you said it right there. Negotiations had to be set forth. I don't think that there's ever been an attempt by any of the big heads of any city to kind of try to, you know, at least in the past 20 to 30 years, and speak to the gangs. Listen, let's try to work some shit out. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you know, the gangs are what they are. Let them, you know, run their shit. If they policing and politicking their shit, let them go about their business and their motherfucking lives. But if you start trying to make some regular common resources available to the common man, then they will be totally fine.
All right. And with the recent increase in police presence within the state, as there was a mass hiring recently, just due to some of the activities that you take part of, do you feel that this will affect you in a negative way? No?
Nope.
All right.
Nope. You know why? I'm going to tell you exactly why. They're actually helping us. Ask me how.
I'm very curious on how.
Because once all these little boys put on that vest, a lot of these little boys didn't want to take their little asses overseas and defend their country, but they think they're going to defend the block. You understand what the fuck I'm saying? So these little boys are on some motherfucking power trips on their little Napoleon complex. These little boys would have never survived in these motherfucking streets. You know what I'm trying to say? The way that my boys have. My boys put it on for their city because they had to. These motherfuckers is putting it on for their city for the paycheck. But once they realize that paycheck comes to paperwork, bet your sweet ass that they're going to be knocking on my door for a job. And that's on God.
All right. And with your current family, do you feel that that sentiment is like shared across everyone?
So I just had to stretch my legs a little bit. So you said, do I feel that that sentiment is shared with what?
Everyone within your little family.
Individuals of my ilk?
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it a buck with you. You know, like I said, I'm a most seasoned veteran, as they call it. You know what I mean? So I don't know if brothers are thinking as deeply as I. But I would like to believe that those who call themselves the heads of such organizations feel exactly the same way.
Okay.
And you see, it's not like we're trying to be nefarious in the sense of trying to take away from the city and things and resources and things of that nature. We doing shit that we have to do in order to stay on top. You know what I'm trying to say? And being on top, what I mean at this fucking point is on top of the grounds of that fucking cemetery and not 6 feet deep.
Okay. Well, speaking of our taxpayer dollars at work, is there gunshots outside? What do you feel about the state of the gun laws within the city and how relaxed they are?
What do you mean by relaxed?
Well, anyone, so long as you aren't a criminal, walks into the PD, answers 3 simple questions, and for less than $1,000, no waiting day, no nothing, no background check, you get a pistol popped in your hand.
Now, I believe that's because of the current times of where the hell you at. You know what I mean? Understand that a 3-way time period for a simple city who's trying to be out here and try to protect themselves is a long-ass time, son. I don't know how long you've been in the city, but I don't think you would survive a day without a pistol in your hands.
Oh, not at all. That's why. That's partly why I'm asking.
I'd rather them be quick. If they need to take their little fucking picture, fingerprint, whatever the hell they need to do, link it to the system and get that person, registered. Let me tell you this. That's like saying if you take guns out of a city, there ain't gonna be no crime. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because mark my words, it's the ones with the guns that are committing the crimes, even if you take it out of the gangbangers' hands. If you know what I mean.
Nope, I get what you mean. Well, that's partly where I was kind of leading with the question was just, my time in the city has been pretty brief, but I was told to get a gun the moment I walked in here. And I did, and I've had to use that gun several times.
Exactly.
And I don't think I feel like it's more of a result of the environment than overall political structure.
100%. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's the current climate of the environment that we're in, aka San Andreas. You know what I mean? I don't think that a city like San Andreas could survive having a 3-day wait period. Now, not for nothing, if they cleaned the shit up, and then maybe they were a little bit like the Midwestern areas, perhaps. But, with the population of the current city and the current environment, you know what I mean, that all structures, be it political, police, or gang, put forth, it's a necessary evil.
And let's talk about that current population while we have that up as a topic.
Mm-hmm.
So during a recent poll that was kind of just done anonymously for the city, it looks like about 42% of overall population has admitted to either being involved in organized crime or committing at least one crime a week. Would you say that? That's unique to our state?
Unique to our state? Hell to the no. I feel like that's the average, and if you're not doing that, you lack it.
Okay. So you don't believe that almost half the population committing, either being a member of organized crime or committing crimes regularly, is not something unique to the state of San Andreas?
No, because that definitely happens over there in Liberty City as well.
All right. Fair enough. We did, when comparing apples, you want to compare them to apples.
Mm-hmm.
That is only the second most crime-ridden city in the entirety of the United States.
Yeah. It's a bigger thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not necessarily trickle-down economics. The problem here is, with a city like San Andreas or Liberty City, where I used to come from, these people here, they believe in, as opposed to cutting the head off the snake to get, rid of the root of the evil, they chop the feet off and then wonder why they can't stand. You know what I mean? The feet being the low person on the totem pole, the citizen, the gangbanger, things of that nature. They need to realize that most of these gangbangers here, most of my boys are tax-paying citizens, actually doing above-table shit for them all the fucking time. They're the same people that they scoff at, the same people that they hiring for their little banquets, the same people they hiring to fix their fucking cars, the same people they hiring to do their pools, the same ones that do their electric, who's the same ones that do their fucking garbage. Same people that they shit on and drive by every single motherfucking day is the same ones that is sitting here with me, rocking colors.
Okay. And do you feel that that there's enough opportunity within the city to keep yourself financially stable, be able to do the things you need to, and not either join a gang or commit any kind of crime?
To be honest with you, I don't think I'm qualified enough to answer that question. Reason being is because I've never been in a predicament where I felt that grabbing one of these, low-paying 9-to-5 gigs was actually worth stopping what I was doing because of the current environment that I'm in.
Gotcha. Man, okay. I apologize. I have to get new chairs for my next interview.
No, you're totally fine. Listen, I'm pretty sure you could edit this stuff and whatnot. You seem like a pretty capable.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not the. I don't believe that's going to be an issue at all. Just the editing, I'm not too worried about. Just the chairs for future guests. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay. It's straight hood. I'd be a little more comfortable with like milk crates and shit. You know what I mean? But the redneck lawn chairs kind of work too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right. Let's see. We covered your history. We have your opinions on the city as a whole now. You personally don't feel that any of the side jobs or the gig economy that mostly Los Santos is built on is really worth the time you have to put into it. And I'm sure a lot of people would agree with you on that. So would you say that it's primarily just for a lot, again, for a city like this with a lot of just crime, a lot of individuals? Oh, your leg cramp a little bit?
I'm sorry. Ask that question again. I'll try to behave.
It's okay. I get it. Chairs are uncomfortable. It's cool. But yeah, so would you say that that's that's probably for... Surprisingly, there's a decent import of people coming to move here. Why, I don't know. But would you say that's a lot of the reason why a lot of new folk decide that a life, doing some of these acts is just better just because of the financial state of them?
Keeping it a buck with you, I don't think people, for the most part, per capita, are coming here to do nefarious activities. You know what I mean? I can't see somebody traveling, en masse, people traveling from the East Coast to the West Coast because they feel that, the rate in which they can get away with crime is better in San Andreas than it is in Liberty City.
No. But just the fact that, you move here and, the idea is this is San Andreas. Anyone can become a millionaire the next day. So there are those people out there who...
See, that's exactly it. It's the facade. It's the facade at the higher up of this city. So then, somebody, it's like the old school gold rush. You know what I mean? Everybody thought their asses was going to get gold. And more importantly, everybody's ass thought they were going to get lands until you come and realize you're the other who they want you to work in order so they can get their 5 acres and a cow. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's exactly it. They act like they the public servants, but we are really the servants, and that's the issue.
But just so we have a lot of new folk that are coming in constantly. And
never gonna stop.
Oh, and it's never gonna stop. And I feel like a lot of them don't have the intent to be immediately run to, most of them probably aren't immediately running to one of the gangs and saying, "Hey, I wanna be a hang around. I wanna hang out with you guys."
But mostly none of them, unless it's a family member, like a legitimate family member. Yeah,
right. Do you feel that it's mostly just due to economic issues, or is there something else? Is it just more enticing for them to join these groups just because they are a group?
It's more enticing for several reasons. One, there's power in numbers. You know what I mean? And again, when you make an us versus them spectrum, you have to choose a side. There's no way, especially in the San Andreas, that you can be neutral forever. Where's the camera? The camera over here, over my left shoulder?
Camera's kind of centered a little around me, but I mean I can get a zoom in to directly to you if you want.
You want. Yeah, get it. Yeah. Look at me right here when I say this. I want to look at the camera when I say this. Nobody stays neutral. You can't. The environment does not allow it. San Andreas does not allow it. Unfortunately, as much as you think you are gonna, as hard as you think that your little ass is gonna swim upstream, you, my friend, are not gonna reinvent the motherfucking wheel.
And what information or recommendation would you give to new folk who are trying to just kind of make their way through the city as they're just arriving?
Stay safe, stay in numbers, stay close to your loved ones, and if you have to choose a side, choose right. Because regardless if you're wearing colors that you wear in a back pocket or a button up, you still choosing something, and it comes with consequences.
All right. Well, I think on that note, we're going to draw our interview to an end.
Sure.
I am going to ask, just as we are streaming this live from an undisclosed location, if anybody who is watching has any questions now, the floor is open if you'd like to ask this particular gentleman his thoughts, opinions, or reviews on things. Just remember, the questions that will be asked to him will not give away whom he is, what group he's part of, or anything personal about him in that regard.
Oh, excellent. You're taking a live question in there. Wow, okay. You're doing that through the, how do you call that, the GeoCities?
Yeah, I'm doing that through the, with weazel as it is currently, I don't have proper broadcasting rights, so we're Weasel Star News Online.
Okay.
But as time goes on, we'll be able to expand upon that and, be the proper Weasel Star.
Sure, okay.
But yeah, does open the floor if anyone has any questions. If not, then we can let this particular gentleman go on his way, and we'll go from there. Give you guys just a few moments to kind of go through.
Sure.
But do you have any anything you'd like to bring up yourself, sir? That maybe I missed, or maybe you just feel just needs to be said to just the general public of the city, to about your life or about your experience.
No. I actually think what you're doing here for the city, the way you're putting on for the city with this Weasel Star News and getting this going, is a really good thing. What I would suggest to you as a leader in the syndicates in which you are attempting to question is to lean more in towards the why as to the leaders and why they protect those around them.
Right.
Because I feel once those are some great questions you put up right there, son. Once you get to the root of that and start exposing and showing that this is really what I said and it's family structures, I think it's gonna shine a brighter light on why organizations such as mine get together.
All right. Well, it doesn't look like we have anything coming in through our live audience, but that's okay. So yeah, with that, I think we are all set. So
excellent, I appreciate it. Okay.
I can say, I am Maxwell Rockford signing off. This has been an interview with this particular individual. After getting to know him, I wouldn't really call him a criminal. I'd just call him a person of unpleasant circumstance. And hopefully we will be able to learn more about just the city and the people within it through this series of interviews.